Purchase this historic poster at one of these fine galleries.
Lou Grant on Channel 5. You'll love it.
Hello, I'm Ruth Spencer, and it's hard to believe that less than a month ago, in February of 1986, a towering crystal palace made of nothing more than ice and snow stood right here. Today, there are a few reminders of the St. Paul Winter Carnival Ice Palace. Most of us have nothing more than some photographs and our memories. But now, KSTP Television has brought the Ice Palace back to life in a video scrapbook, and we welcome all of you with VCRs to record the show that we've put together. If you don't have a VCR, we hope that you'll simply sit back and enjoy watching a bit of history unfold. It's 1941. The building of an ice palace is underway. A palace with all the majesty that Minnesotans have looked forward to since the first one was built back in 1886. And that means a palace complete with royalty. No one back in these days ever imagined an event more grand, an event more spectacular. But this year, on the 100th anniversary of the original palace, plans were drawn to construct the biggest palace of ice ever. On December the 10th, the first pilings were driven into the island at Lake Phalen.
A great city is many things. You have to take care of the basics, but you also have to know how to celebrate your community. And that's what we're doing here.
St. Paul Mayor George Latimer, with the help of Austin P. Keller Construction, set the first block of ice in place. A dream was born.
Out on that bar a little bit, move around, and you don't get too cold. It isn't too cold on the men, but it's too cold on the ice. How do you mean? Well, the cracks freeze up faster.
With the help of Old Man Winter, blocks of ice some 21 inches thick were cut from Lake Phalen. To cut the large blocks, special saws were needed. Unlike the kind you have in your garage, these are antiques. You see, special tools were needed to construct the palace, tools that haven't been used in some 40 years. And trying to round up the right kind of saws took some effort. Many had to be flown in from around the country to help get the job done. Once the blocks were cut into rafts measuring 10 by 15 feet, the next step was to get them out of the lake. And to do that,
we're building a conveyor, rotating conveyor that comes out of the lake, and then we shoot it right down to the ice palace on chutes.
These huge chunks of ice became the building blocks to a dream. Day by day, they were lifted into place as they began their ascent to the sky, held together not by cement, but by nature. These ice chunks mold to each other with water mixed with snow. We know it as slush. With each cold day that passed, the ice castle began to take shape.
This is meteorologist Bill Ranby. Ice Palace workers will really have problems cut out for them today. Still in the middle of the January thaw, temperatures are expected to be 15 to 20 degrees above normal over the next couple of days. That's going to cause a lot of...
Exactly. This warm weather is making it tough. It's getting harder for us to get ice down the chutes to the work area because it's so warm. If it would drop about 10, 15 degrees, it would certainly help us.
In fact, we're thinking about maybe stopping the crew until the sun goes down because we're losing our mortar, and it's just futile to put it up with this warm weather.
From sunrise to sundown, more than 700 volunteer workers challenged Mother Nature's warm weather, a challenge most of them looked forward to.
During the week, you know, our people are working 8 hours a day on their regular job, and then coming right from the construction project they're working on out here and working another 6-8 hours. So they're really putting in a lot of time. There's a lot of effort going into putting this thing together.
And those efforts continued despite the warm temperatures. Carbon dioxide gas was sprayed on the ice blocks to make them even colder. And when the gas ran out, dry ice was brought in.
The dry ice is 190 degrees below zero. And using that and the polyethylene as an insulator, we can keep the surface temperature down.
With the construction deadline fast approaching, getting the palace completed became a race against time. Plans had to be revised, and the original height of 150 feet had to be reduced to 130 feet. Finally, after 16,000 blocks of ice were cut and 60,000 man-hours were put in, the finishing touches were put on. On the morning of February the 5th, the final cone, weighing 10 tons, was lifted into place, and the tallest ice palace ever built was completed. It was dedicated to the memory of 7 astronauts who died just days before in the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Wonderful effort by a whole lot of people and a lot to be proud of. I think our city and state has a lot to be proud of.
Well, St. Paul, you believe, and there's your dream come true.
The celebration of the birth of a dream. But as the old saying goes, all good things must come to an end. And after 3 months of work involving hundreds of volunteers and 13 million pounds of ice, the Ice Palace was scheduled for demolition. Scores of people lined up for one last glimpse.
Well, I've been here since 10:30 this morning, and it's been moving steady. And I hear it's backed up quite a ways, so.
Day by day, they filed in by the thousands. In fact, more than 1.5 million people came to view the palace.
That's good right there.
I think it's gorgeous. If I lived forever, I'd come out here and see it every year.
It's really brought the community together, plus we met a lot of people from out of state. It's been a big boost for the state.
I think they should have it on longer. This is the second time I've seen it, and I like it.
Because the demand was so great, Ice Palace officials decided to hold off the wrecking ball for a few more days. Soon, the inevitable had to happen. For safety reasons and because volunteers had to provide round-the-clock security, the palace had to be destroyed.
When we're talking about volunteers, people can only give so much, and everyone gave everything that they had, and you just have to stop asking after.
19th century author once wrote, "We build on the ice, and we write on the waves of the sea. The waves roaring pass away, the ice melts, and away goes our palace like our thoughts." We hope to have preserved some of those thoughts, and we're glad to have brought you this Ice Palace memory. I'm Ruth Spencer. If you tuned in late to A Vision on Ice, you can still tape it. We will rebroadcast this 12-minute program next Sunday morning at 3:40, again next Monday morning at 1:40, and a final time next Wednesday morning at 4:05. Tape A Vision on Ice as a permanent video memory of the 1986 Winter Carnival Ice Palace.